Chris Duker for GeekNerdNet.com. I'm at the 15th anniversary of the Calgary Expo. And to say I'm excited to be sitting beside Tom Grummett would be an understatement. We all know his work, and if you don't know his work, you should know his work and get to know it, because he's just fantastic. He brought a lot of comic joy into my life over the years and still does, and I would be remiss if I said I'm not a little excited to be talking to you. So, hello.
Hello.
And the interview's done. That's great. Thanks, Tom.
Hey, we're out. Thanks for coming out, folks.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I want to ask you this. You've done so much. You have such a list of work you've done over the years. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Superboy, one of my favorites here, Incarnation.
I've drawn everybody.
Yeah, right? I mean, I want to ask you this, and it might seem cheesy, but I'm curious. What was the first hero you drew?
Popeye.
Popeye.
That I remember.
Yeah.
As a little kid, our local TV station used to run the old Fleischer Popeye cartoons, and I was just awestruck by them and spent all my free time trying to draw Popeye. And so this would have been before I could even read. And then I discovered, likely to a trip to a drugstore, or even the grocery stores used to have comic books in them back then. I spotted a Superman comic book, and a Felix the Cat, I believe, and went, oh wow, they have these in paper form. So I had to have badgered my mother into picking a couple of those up and took them home, and I vividly recall sitting in the basement laboriously trying to reproduce what I was seeing there. And that was the start of a checkered career, I suppose.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that story. You and I were chatting before we started recording that, I would hit the old spinner racks at the grocery store or even the drugstore, like you mentioned. And then that moment when you go into an actual comic book store, you're like, where am I? I'm in heaven. This is amazing.
Comic book stores are, to me, a relatively new phenomenon. I was used to the corner convenience store or the drugstore or whatever. And then newsstands went away, the comic shops came in, but it seemed to be golden age following golden age.
Right.
It was just a great time.
That's great. When you, what was your first gig, like your big gig with either DC or Marvel, and then how did that come about? How did you pitch that at the time, and then I guess you went from there?
Oh, there was no pitching.
No
pitching. It was basically a lightning strike of good fortune. I had been doing a whole bunch of work for small press publishers in the mid to later 80s for no money, and but they were getting published and getting distributed and into comic shops.
Yep.
And I did a convention in Toronto where a small press was supposed to kind of do a pre-launch thing, and when I got to the show, the company had folded.
Oh.
It was gone.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm kicking around this convention. I was able to set up table space and where they were supposed to be, that kind of thing. But I met Ty Templeton there, and Ty was familiar with my work. And he said, I'm going to send copies of your book to Mark Waid at DC. I said, okay, sure, Ty, thanks. That'd be wonderful. And really more or less put it out of my mind. And the day after I got back from the convention, back home in Saskatoon, my phone rings, and it's Mark Waid offering me work. Secret Origins of Animal Man. And so I accepted. He said, that's great. You've got the gig, but I need samples from you because I'm just an assistant. I have to justify this. So I quickly drew 2-3 pages of a little Animal Man sequence, knowing very little about the character at all, and quickly sent those in. Next thing, I get a FedEx package with a script, and I'm off to the races.
And so your first book is Animal Man with DC. Is that right? Is that the one you did, or was that
the first
was that just for
professional?
samples?
That was the first professional.
Fair. Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
That was when I was actually I actually got a check for that, which was a novelty.
Yeah.
And every month I had some editor from DC asking, can you do a fill-in on this? Can you do a fill-in on this? I did fill-ins on the Animal Man series proper because of the Secret Origin story I'd done.
Right.
So that was a great thing. And, I did that for, I think it was at least 9 months.
Yeah.
6 to 9 months, probably. I just did fill-ins monthly for DC. And I get a call from Mike Carlin because George Perez has to kind of take a medical leave from doing New Titans.
Right.
Because he'd been in a car accident. And he was fine. He just had broken his foot and painkillers and stuff. He couldn't, there was only so much work he could handle.
Right.
So I stepped in to work over George Perez layouts on New Titans. And somewhere in there, as George recovered, he ended up on Action Comics doing Superman stories and didn't have time to do the Titans thing anymore. So I became the regular penciler. And so I did that for close to just under 50 issues, thereabouts.
Anyone interested in a
That's a big, awesome run.
Yeah, and from there,
If you're not, that's fine. I'm just offering.
Carlin was aware that I was fast, that I could do,
Why would you
a couple of things at the same time.
Yeah.
So
people are already
Jerry Ordway had decided to step back from penciling, and he decided to just write. So he and Dan Jurgens switched books, and Dan took over the main Superman title, and Jerry was going to be the writer for Adventures of Superman. And Carlin asked me if I'd be interested in becoming the new regular penciler. And several years before, the first time I met Mike face to face, I asked him, I'll do anything to do. I only have to do one Superman story, just once in my life. And I ended up doing Superman work pretty much consistently for a solid 10 years. So yeah, that was great.
I love it. That's amazing. Now I'm going to ask you this. Now it's not. I think it's a fine line, and maybe it's the same, but you tell me. I'm not going to ask what your favorite characters to draw. Is there a character you had the most fun drawing? I guess would it be Superman? Would it be something else? What is it?
Well, Superman is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I've had the good fortune of doing a couple of issues of the Fantastic Four, and I really love drawing Benjamin Grimm, the Thing.
Yeah.
And he's just so much fun. Because of his expressions and his body language and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I love drawing him. Let me think. Other favorites. Oh, anytime I get a chance to draw the Scarlet Witch, I'm very, very thrilled to do that. And I've been lucky enough to do that on X-Men Forever and a couple of other things.
Yeah.
Captain America, done a lot of him. Iron Man is fun as long as they can keep his armor straight.
Huh.
I'm good with that.
Right.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with Robin,
Yeah.
Supergirl, Superboy.
Yeah.
Well, Superboy was my design.
I know it's.
On an airline cocktail napkin, I came up with that one. So.
I ran to the comic store and bought 3 issues of that when I came out.
Oh, cool.
It was. I'm like, that's cool. I'm gonna buy 2 more. I wanted to ask you. So you've been doing your great work in conventions over the years, and you come to conventions. Is there a number one question you get from, say, budding or starting out artists? That's just sort of that mainstay of like, rather than how do I break in? Is there anything sort of advice that you give to sort of fresh faces, I guess, if you want to put it that way?
I just generally tell them to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like they'll ask me, a young lady was by with her portfolio earlier, and I went through it and I said, "Oh, I like this, and this is very nice, and oh, I like how you've done this and this kind of thing." And she says, "Do you have any critique?" And I looked and I said, "No, because I don't see anything that I could tell you're doing wrong.
Right.
You know yourself where you think your shortcomings are, and you know yourself what you have to work on. And the next time I see your portfolio, it's going to be better than this.
Yeah.
As long as you keep doing it. The more you do it, the better you'll get. It's just the way it works. Doesn't matter if you're learning how to play hockey or play the piano or draw comic books or anything.
Yeah.
It's practice. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. It's just automatic.
Yeah.
The amount of time it requires, that can vary. But the rest of it is just keep doing it, keep loving it, and it can only get better.
That's nice. That's really nice. Do you, moving forward in 2022, are there other shows you're going to be doing? Or, like, you're here now, obviously, Calgary, but have you got anything on the slate coming up?
Next week, there's a show in Saskatoon, my hometown.
Yep.
We'll be there.
Excellent.
And then my wife has a couple of pottery events that I'm going to be helping her out with.
Nice.
For the summer, and then Edmonton in September.
Excellent. Nice. I'll be at Edmonton too.
Okay.
Tom, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. Well, we can keep going. I thought I didn't want to take away from your day.
It's fine.
Oh,
It's fine.
Now I feel bad. Okay,
No,
we
don't
got
feel
20
bad.
more minutes. No.
It was so painless.
Yeah.
I hardly felt the time passing.
All right. Well, listen. No, seriously. Thank you very much, Tom Grummett. You're awesome. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay.
Anytime. We'll just see you in Edmonton.
For sure.